Do you know what your partner's up to when you're away and they're all alone?
No, what?
They're listening to the Screw podcast, of course.
What's that?
Sit back, relax, and listen.
And you're all charismatic. You're all charismatic. Sneaking in the back door with teddy bear seats. So your mother wants to know what all the stains on your jeans. And you're all charismatic.
Thanks for tuning in to the Screw. Hello, A-Love.
What's up, love? Sorry, I had to take a vape hit to really, get in the space. Not like a nicotine vape hit. I'm not doing that. So let me shut this light off for a second.
I was going to say, you have like a cool little puff of smoke above your head right now.
They must be like, oh, it smells so good in that booth after he leaves. How you doing? What's going on?
I'm all right. Same old, same old. I feel like we just recorded yesterday, but it was a week
It was
ago.
a week ago. We've been good.
I don't think anything's happened. Has anything happened?
You mean kind of? But I mean, the world is on fire in general. But
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The world is in fact on fire.
I mean, we don't need to point out all of that. I don't think. Like, I'm always torn. It's like part of our duty as entertainers to like help people escape or help them hit shit head on. I'm never sure. You know, it's hard to be.
I think we're also human, and if we don't have the capacity to do it, then we also do not need to force ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we're not fucking journalists or reporters.
I'm not sure. Is it tasteful to talk about butts?
This isn't a
sex
fucking
and genocide in the same 40-minute
butt sex and genocide. This isn't. It's not a news station, so we don't have to.
Sure.
We can just be human, and if we can't talk about it, we don't have to.
Yeah. So yesterday there was a huge walkout for Palestine at my college institution. And, I love colleges because they do all this stuff in colored chalk, and you feel like a sense of urgency when you see all this stuff written on the ground and really thick color and exclamation points and nifty abbreviations, walk out for Gaza, and today, unfortunately, somebody had gone through and changed everything to kind of say, I think what they said, walk out. One thing was for Palestinians in Gaza, and somebody said changed it to fuck Palestinians and Gaga. So, people are out there having some, fun discourse on the sidewalk with fucking sidewalk chalk. Good Lord, kids. Put the chalk away and start voting for people that don't fucking suck. How about that?
Yeah, that's that's pretty gross. The second part, the first part, obviously, I'm very much pro Palestine, but fuck. And yeah, the chalk thing is interesting.
You know how it is on campuses. There's certainly a huge level of support on this campus for Palestinians, which, one is happy to see. We've had several huge newsworthy walkouts here at UNM, and I like seeing a young, active, politically campus. I just wish they would get rid of all the different Christian sects that I have to fucking deal with all day long, trying to thump a Bible out my head as I walk by. But it's a public university, so you can't kick people off campus in the same way that you can on private universities. So.
Oh, there's people trying to sell you on religion around the campus.
Has JWs, Jehovah Witnesses, for those who are wondering, situated essentially at every kind of major access point. And, they come out with their little makeshift bookcase or pamphlet case, and, they're dressed to the nines, and they're tithing 30% of their income to white men that they've never going to see. That's just a little background of Anyways, yeah, I'm feeling bitter towards religion today. I'm not gonna lie. It's really tough because, like, I was telling you earlier before, like, we forgot to hit record while we were saying smart stuff, that, like, Colorado and New Mexico
Uh,
are, like, in a sea of, like, really red sentiment and, like, kind of crazy conservative values in many ways. And we just got a 7-day waiting period passed here for, like, gun ownership. And because this has been New Mexico is a pretty NRA plus plus kind of state. Like, there's open carry here. People are like love their guns, but it's like not really rednecky, in that way. Like, they're not trying to take their guns to go like string up black people kind of thing. They're like literally going to try to hunt. No, I mean, but real. Like, it's not Alabama. But like this thing has been a contention, and I don't think around New Mexico's, because there's been a lot of gun accidents with children here, and gun safety with kids is a big deal in this state, and people are taking it seriously. So now there's a 7-day waiting period, and they, like, honestly, they do these really cool things at the county fairs and stuff where, like, there are gun safety people there from like the city and the state and whatever, that teach people how to lock up their guns properly and make sure that they have like a safety plan, especially if they have kids in the house. So look, I'm not against guns per se in that sense, but like, we do have to be smart. If you can any person can walk into a Walmart and get a gun as soon as they want it. What if they're upset about something? Like, where do you think these things are coming from?
It's easier to acquire a gun than a sex toy.
Right. And fuck finding a safe sex toy. That's really hard too. So we have this cool lesbian sex shop here. I know it's not a lesbian sex shop. Let me correct myself. It's an LGBTQ plus 2S. It's a lot of initials that they write on their thing. So, but it's a queer, feminist-owned sex shop here in the city, which is great. You don't see these very often. And it gives you like a very educational kind of like cool thing. And our school newspaper did a write-up about them. They changed their name this week from the Daily Lobo to the Daily Libido, which I thought was like a Valentine's Day thing. So other articles were like about sex, and from like different
Oh, that's
perspectives.
cool.
Like, there was a safe.
It sounds like something I would
it
have
was
done.
kinda clever. There was a safety thing, and like, I like that they were propping up this particular like adult shop, because there are a lot of sex shops in Albuquerque, but most of them are pretty scary on some level or another. And they're definitely the types of shop that carry.
Wait, scary
Uh,
how? I want to know about
okay,
that.
so we still have like arcades and video booths here, very old school style. So the sex store is double as like, stick your dick through a hole and like watch a porno for $1 a minute, and you can buy your, lubes and dildos.
So what you're saying is it has a completely different
It
vibe.
does.
It's a little bit more on
Like,
the risque,
yeah,
taboo
and
side,
just
where
cutesy.
or
The people that own these shops, they don't care about sex. They care about like dollars in the machines, and they care about you paying for
I
overpriced
see
sex
what you're
toys that.
saying. Whereas the other place is like pleasure
Exactly.
centered.
They had this really lovely thing that said something like, for those of you who are sex positive and love sex, this is a great shop for you. For those of you who not so much, this is also a great shop for you. We can talk and help you like move like wherever you are in your journey, which is like, I always love that
Nice.
kind of like
That's
thing,
nice.
that
Yeah.
sex shops aren't just for, those horny fuckers
Experience,
of us. Yeah.
deviance.
And you'll like this. They give discounts to sex workers. They give discounts to students. And
Oh, that's
it was
fantastic.
a really educators. They have like a really cool list of the people that they give discounts to. But like,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so it's like everything you would want. And it's serious, because I loved in the article that they talked about unsafe sex toys, the ones with the flagellates or flylates, whatever, that PH word that I cannot pronounce, that you're not supposed to really put in your body. That one.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. The other sex shops, these are like hard, like, ridiculous toys that like aren't good to be like shoving inside your holes, right? Because sex toys are still heavily unregulated by any kind of safety body in the US, which, is important. Like, we need like
I'm pretty sure I use one that
Oh,
I'm not supposed to be
we all
using,
do.
but it's like I'm
Sometimes,
poor. Like I don't have
well,
money
and the
to.
thing is the ones that like that phthalate stuff is supposed to make it feel like very real, but it breaks down very easily, and like
Yeah, once that you see it breaking down, you
tough.
have to stop using it. My Manuel Ferrara dildo started to break down, so I
Well,
stopped
I
using
imagine
it.
Manuel Ferrara is getting pretty close to breaking down himself, so good timing. Like, what is he, like 60 now? Like, how old is he?
He still, I don't know, he
I
still
know
makes
he
porn though.
does. I know. Damn. Yeah. Yeah. So like my partner has been sending me like a lot of, because like X essentially, for whatever anybody is saying, is like really just like a place to find great porn clips. And so like occasionally like he'll be sending me stuff that like he thinks really hot, not for us to like try it out or anything, because like, my asshole can't do the things that some of these videos show, but like I appreciate it and I respect it. And someday in my secret porno fantasy I will be able to take dick like that, but not today. Not today, Satan. That's
Not
but
today.
yeah, so that's me jabber jabbing. See, like, there's a lot going on in the world, but like you gotta, this isn't a like put your head in the sand kind of thing I'm saying. You gotta balance it, right? Health is about balance, right? So be righteously outraged, fucking put that fist in the air, be upset, say what you need to say, support the things you need to support, but you also have to take care of yourself. I know like these days shit is
Yeah.
maddening, and we've said this before, but again, like you need that balance. You're good to no one in the movement if you're burnt out. If you want to be,
It's interesting you say that today because one of my friends online was literally just posting that same thing today, like, and also saying like it's okay to like not be able to give any more of your money to mutual aid. It's okay to like realize that like as much as you want to do, sometimes you actually have to stop yourself from doing it, otherwise you go
yeah.
without. I think that's like important to
No,
sorry to
no, no, you're
interrupt you,
not.
but
It's
yeah, like
it's
there
it's
that's a convo that's going around right now. It's just that like you still do have to take care of
it's
yourself
tough because sometimes
because it's the airplane mask thing. If you can't help somebody else with their mask if
yeah,
you don't
you
have
gotta
yours
get
on
your mask
first.
on first. That's the name of the game. Ooh, I'm getting some weird feedback all of a sudden. Live and in action. Here's some feedback. But yeah, no, it's and this is, and I say this because like you see people and like I, it's really tough because like I know for a lot of people there's a lot of like activism that feels performative, and there is a lot of performative activism, but there's also like a point of which you need to take time off and feel bad because like you're not like because you're taking time off. Like don't let anybody make you feel like you're not involved enough in like being upset about what's going on. Like these are not like real activist things. If these conversations are going on, this is a game of performative activism. Like people should be focused on those that need help, not on what others are doing to help those people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not activism to be concerned with
Yeah.
what everybody else in the fucking room is doing. Like, if you're involved and you care about this, care about it. Don't pay attention to the person to the left and right of you. They have the capacity to care about it differently than you, maybe. Maybe they're not caring about it at all. Maybe it is performative. But what the fuck does that have to do with you? If you give a shit about what you're talking about, keep talking about it. But don't give a fuck about what other people are talking about. Like then it
Yeah.
becomes performative
That's
for
a great
you.
message.
Like, come on now. You're taking time away from the cause.
Well, right. Once you care about the people in the room, then it's
So I
performance.
wanted to,
It's okay to like you
yeah,
said, like talk about it, right? Like
yeah,
talk about the things. And maybe that'll get people to also
yeah.
change their behavior. But you can't worry about
Again,
their
there is a
behavior. They
lot
have
of
to do that on their own.
privilege, like in active, out loud activism. And what do I mean? I mean, if you have time beyond keeping a roof over your head and food in your mouth to like spend and devote multiple hours a day to something that you're passionate about, that's great. But it doesn't mean other people aren't as passionate about it, but don't have the resources to like act out that passion in the same way that you do.
Well, then there's the people that don't have the time or the resources and they still show
Absolutely.
up,
And
and they
bless
show up
those
super
fuckers.
fucking
They're
hard.
amazing. And like, those are the people that make me feel bad about myself. Not on purpose. Because they're just doing what they're doing. I'm talking about my own self-analysis. Like, I would love to be there on that level. And 10 years ago, fuck yeah. But like time and age are real motherfuckers. And no, yeah, there are still fucking old ass hippies out there getting arrested. Good for you. Like, I love it. I love it. Remember, don't ever get arrested at any of these things without a plan of action. I know it looks good in movies and on television, but this is like legit. I know people are like wired up politically right now. The people you see get arrested on TV, that's often planned. They have a plan to bail those people out of jail. They have a legal team. These people are getting arrested on purpose to bring attention to the incident. Don't just get willy-nilly arrested without a support system. You're not helping the movement that way either. You're in jail. You're no good in jail. So have a plan. If you're getting arrested at a rally or one of these things, be a part of a plan that gets you out of jail once the arrest is over. And I mean this very seriously. A few years ago, a bunch of activists were outside of the federal prison in, I believe, Pittsburgh. And they were all riled up about prison conditions because the prisoners were like, they were doing protests within the prison and it got out. And all of these individuals, they went to the prison and the protest was peaceful. And then some people decided that they were going to start throwing things at the jail. And they got arrested by the feds. That's really hard to get yourself out of. And then, we live in a shitty society now where like domestic terrorism is a thing that is being thrown at activists. So please be careful out there. Don't just do things spontaneously. I know it's hard. I know people are passionate, but like, again, you're nothing to the movement if you're in jail. You're not. And like, if you think like that is about helping the movement, remember, again, those people that are getting arrested in droves, there's usually an action plan for them. There's bail money put aside. There's a lawyer ready to help and defend them and get them out of court. Like, don't just think it's something people do in the passion of the moment. It's not. Rosa Parks was part of a demonstration that was organized, very well organized. Don't forget that. Like, these are great people, and activism and political rallying is great, but like, be a part of something, because as a lone wolf out one of these things, you're on your own, and I don't want to see you in prison. So.
Thanks, Daddy. That was so sweet. Little wisdom for you. It's good. It's good. It's good information, and also,
fuck yeah. So, I think we talked about things like one of these podcasts the last few weeks ago, and I was like, oh, it came to my attention that this thing really, really was something that was happening in all parts of the community, but like this intergenerational dating thing. Like, so now I saw my first major article about, like an intergenerational lesbian couples and dating. And so like I've had this thing about like, it's really sweet. And this article actually did a much better job than the one that I read about like the queer intergenerational thing. This was like way more thoughtful about, different elements in our culture and society that have kind of come together to like create these things. But like, I always knew it was a thing. I mean, back in the day, it was not unusual to see like a 40-year-old lesbian woman dating a 20-something-year-old lesbian. There were definitely critiques, and like people were definitely like probably pretty like judgy about it. But what do you think about these things? Because I think that there's a way to like talk about it and appreciate it where it doesn't always have to. I think people's inclination is like, this is an unhealthy relationship. And I'm not sure if that's fair for queer folks necessarily, in the same way that like, I don't know, like, I actually don't think it's that fair for heterosexual folks either. Cause like, now that I'm like older and like my parents and my step parents have been together for years, their like age gap doesn't it's not even like make any sense now. They both have fucking gray hairs and like are retired. You know what I mean? Like at some point, it's like, was that bad? Because they were together for fucking a bazillion years. Like, you know, like I think it's about power dynamics somehow, about how we look at these things and decide if like, you know, big age gaps are healthy.
Well, you do have to remember that also generationally, age gaps, you know, there was a different, I guess, understanding of age gaps, like for, say, your parents' generation. So I think that nowadays we understand that there's oftentimes a different power dynamic, but I also think that now our, you know, the people like millennials and younger are also like stunted in growth. So I think that age gaps now are different than
What do
age
you mean by
gaps
stunted in growth?
before that. I feel like everything that kind of came after 9/11, it's just there's less money, there's less opportunity, there's and because of those things, like people aren't leaving their house as soon as say your parents' ages were. Like you were just you're not expected to be an adult as soon as you were, say, in the 60s
Well,
or
and it's not even
70s.
accessible to you, right? Like,
No, exactly. And so therefore, you know, it comes with a level of being stunted in terms of, you know, just comparative. I don't think that you're actually stunted. I think it's fine to, you know, it's fine for it to make sense that people have to live with their parents through their 30s these years because nobody's making fucking enough money, right? But also that comes with a different level of responsibility.
I
And
mean, right.
so my point being, like, a 20-year-old nowadays dating a 40-year-old, that feels a lot fucking weirder probably than say in like the 60s.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I mean,
It's still
like,
all creepy, I
guess.
guess.
Okay, so like, here's how I see it. Like, on one level,
Can you like edit all of that out? That was all just me
no, it was good
yammering
though.
on
I mean,
about
no,
nothing.
you're putting a cultural perspective and point to it, which is important because all those feed in. Like, look, my great grandmother married my great grandfather when she was 14, and a year later started having children. But this is at the turn of the century, and this was like agrarian farmer culture, and like people weren't necessarily
Yeah, and like your life expectancy was like
right,
fucking
exactly.
60 or
Right. So this
40 or
kind of
whatever
makes
the
it
fuck,
like
or
it makes it
childbirth.
all like what is it? Like social constructy a little bit. But like I'm also thinking about nowadays, like, why is all this daddy and mama fever happening? Well, also, we don't look like our parents' generation did at 40 and 50.
Oh
We
yeah,
look hotter.
exactly.
Sorry, ma, pa. We look better than your generation did.
Yeah,
We are.
we're
And
aging a
there's a
lot
lot of reasons for
differently.
that. Yes,
Yeah.
nutrition. Yes, medicine. Yes, SPF.
SPF.
Right, exactly. Well said. There's all sorts of reasons that that's true. And because I don't want to make this age thing, it's certainly not just about like socioeconomics or like cultural norms or conveniences. Like younger people in many situations are expressing like an attraction and desire to older looking individuals. And like I can kind of see that, you know, like look at like we're of the age of the Golden Bachelor now, right? You know, like have you seen that show? Oh my, of course you
Yeah,
have.
of
Of course
course.
you have. Of
Duh.
course you have.
Okay, so like to clarify, I said like 40 and 20 is creepy earlier. I don't even know if creepy is the right word. I just think that if you don't have a fully formed brain yet, then I don't think that dating somebody with a fully formed brain in any kind of long term capacity makes much sense. And I also don't think that there should be a power dynamic situation where, say, the younger person feels indebted to the older person for
sure.
some fucking reason or another. And with age gaps like that, there is more of that ability to be a thing, right? If you're dating amongst your peers, you might be closer to
Right. So
them,
this is the
you know. economically,
this is where the
etc.
meat
So
of
I
the
just
debate is,
it's
I
one
think,
of
right here,
those.
right? Because like if X then Y, right? You know, there's a lot of bad daddies and bad mamas out there. Meaning like bad mamas.
Bad
And look,
mamas.
saw some
I'm
like
gonna tattoo
older
that
women
on my
take
arm.
advantage of younger women in the same way as that fucking older men that taking care of like advantage, and vice versa. You know, there's not like certainly
Sure.
not a possibility that this power differential doesn't work in the favor of the younger person in terms of manipulation or like exploitation or whatever, right? But I think the question, and I guess maybe this is what I'm getting at, is there does need to be a discussion and evaluation about like how these like relationships get conducted, because we certainly don't want to see anybody in the community
Mm.
in unhealthy relationships. And I know that
Yeah. Like look at things like, was there
right, right,
grooming?
right.
You know, did they know you since you were 17 but didn't really talk to you till you were 21? That's grooming.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
Like,
I think it's
you know what I'm trying to say? Like there's we know
yeah.
those people out there
Well,
that did
and
that to us, you know? We knew them when we were too young, and then as soon as it was felt a little less weird or
well,
whatever, they
I'll see
were,
these
you
youngins
know, on
that
our
like
shit.
will put in their like profiles and stuff and say like hunting for daddies or whatever. And like, you know, and I never message any of those people, but like because I'm honest about my age and my profiles, I certainly get hit up by them a lot because I guess I'm at that sweet spot age of 45 to 55 or something like that, where like the daddy thirst is real for some of these, you know, 20, 30 somethings. And like the almost, I would say half the time, especially for these people who are being so explicit about it, question of what do I do for a living comes up like fairly quickly. So like,
Mm,
you know, I also understand like hesitance and like whatever judgment on like older people's side in regards to like I don't believe a young person if they're telling me they're
sure.
attracted to me because I think they're attracted to my bank account, right? There's all sorts of things at play because, you know, I'll say sometimes, well, I'm a student at UNM and like I never like it's like crickets after that. You know, where if like I'm feeling kind of bold, I'll say like, or you know, if you're hot, I will say, "Oh, I'm a healthcare consultant," and amazingly, that conversation turns into pics? Question mark. I mean, I gotta say, like, we have to figure out a way to make this whole dating scene a little less soulless. Not to devolve from this, but like, I think that's my whole point about the conversation. Power dynamics come up in age, but they come up in all sorts of other scenarios as well. They come up in perceived attractiveness, you know, like it's
That's
you know,
true.
what is
That's
it? I
true.
saw this like kind of very indie queer movie the other day. I think it was called Weekend. And basically these two queer dudes, like they meet at a bar, like drunk or whatever, and like one of them is doing this like art project where like right after his hookups, he like pulls out a tape recorder and asks them about the whole experience. Like, why did you, you know, what did you think of the sex we had? Do you think my dick could have been bigger? Like, da da da. And like one of the things the guy says, like, he was like, well, at first I thought this dude is way out of my league. And the guy's like, really? Well, so like, what do you think you are on like the number scale? And he's like, I think I'm like a 6 and I think you're like a 9. And the other guy's like, see, I would have like reversed those for us. I think like would have felt that like you seemed out of my like so like all these weird insecurities and shit we bring to the table with, and like perception is so like I mean, I know over the years we've said this a million times, but like attractiveness is not one of those things. Like I really think you can pigeonhole that it's this or that. It is so person specific. Yes, there may be a lot of people that like think blonde and blue eyed is hot, right? I would again challenge and say, do you actually think it, or has it been fed to you on the television since you were fucking 5 years old? Kind of think it. Like, or, you
Right.
know, people who have like, because as a queer man, I was never allowed to find what I saw on TV or media attractive, and I certainly wasn't allowed to articulate it. I think I developed a more
Mm,
personal idea of what was attractive to me. And of course, like it felt like it had a lot more to do with like, you know, personality and like energy and like, you know, passion on some level.
Right.
Because like I could have thought, I think the only person I ever got caught, I was in the bookstore. I wonder if my stepfather remembers this. And it was a Barnes and Noble or one of those shoes things. And he was like looking for something, gift for somebody. And I was in, you know, those like coffee table book section where there's like photo books of like rock stars or mountains or whatever. I came along like
Sure.
this like Calvin Klein Marky Mark photo book, which is like 900% of him just like in his underwear.
Hot. Yeah.
And so like I'm like, I think I was like
Fantastic.
13, 14 years old, and I'm like thirsting on this one page of like his
Great time. A
pouch,
great Marky
and
Mark
like he's
time.
wearing the briefs, not the boxer shorts, and like I'm just like in like the, I don't know, the resolution of the photo, and I'm like transfixed, and all of a sudden I hear my stepfather go, "What you looking at there?" He's like right over my shoulder,
Oh my
and like I
God.
turned into a tomato. Like, tell me fucking parents don't know. Get the fuck out of here, of course. Like the ones that are paying
That is
attention
so
do.
funny.
Like
I love that he is such a little
I
shit. He
know,
was
like
like,
he
"What
didn't
you
like
doing there?"
necessarily shame me. I think he probably thought it was fucking funny. Like, you know, I think he probably thought, you know, this is a fucking teenager. Like, and their curiosity of seeing people in underwear is like the game is on, you know? Like
Well, you could be looking for two reasons. You could be looking because you would like to look like that, or because you would
right.
like to touch that,
Well, yeah,
right?
it was
So
because I'm an avid fan
either
of Marky Mark
way,
and the Funky Bunch all the way.
either way, he was gonna give you shit, and I love that because he didn't give a
Exactly.
shit, but
I
that's
mean, like,
super
look.
funny. Hey, what you looking?
So okay, and so I don't know if we ever gave like conversation to this. We're all over the place today. Fuck you. Pick and choose. There's a little for everyone. But so this thing about gatekeeping at queer bars, right? I think I don't even know if we talked about it on the record or off the record, but I read this like, or I saw this like follow up from. I'm gonna give a shout out to them because I really do like their podcast. It is da 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 da. I want to make sure I get it right. Oh my God, why do I feel like things disappear as soon as I start looking for them? That is so fucking horrible. Where did you go? Oh my God. Oh, right. Okay. It's the Bad Queers Pod. You know, Bad Queers Pod all together. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw
So,
that the other day.
and I think that this is true. If you're bringing one of your straight heteronormative pals to a queer bar, you need to vet those bitches. You do. You need to make sure
Hmm.
that they know how to fucking behave in queer spaces.
I feel like this is a fun opportunity to like make a skit out of this, but like with, factually
Yeah,
helpful information. You know, somebody could make like, I'm giving people the idea to make a TikTok skit out of like how to
oh
vet
my
your straight
God,
friend. This could even be an SNL skit, you know, how to vet your straight friend before you go to the queer space,
absolutely.
whatever that might be. It doesn't have to necessarily be a bar. It could be a
Ab-
fucking poetry reading for fuck's sake.
absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
and then, you know, you make jokes, but then you also include actually helpful information because this is something that people
Yeah,
should be
they should.
doing.
They should. Like, look, and I like the point that they make on the pod, the Bad Queers pod, is like we don't have all space, face it, in general, is considered heterosexual space. For you to perform heterosexual like activities and behaviors and whatever, you know what I'm
Dances.
saying? Like we don't have
For you to perform your heterosexual
no, but
dances.
like, you know, like it's perfectly like, ah, young love, and you see somebody like walking in front of you, a cis man and a cis woman, and she sticks her tongue in his ear, right? Like they're allowed to do that in public. If I do it, it could be problematic depending upon like where the space is. I mean, I do love like really, they're called wet willies, right? Yeah. I cannot handle a wet willy, by the way. I will make excruciatingly loud, like orgasmo kind of fucking sounds. So don't try to stick it like I'm like, you can't control how loud I get. It's insane. And no, not in a sexy way. That face is appropriate that you're making. It's not cool. That's why I don't like it. Like it feels really good, but I can't control my vocals on it, so I don't know how to make it hot.
No, I hate wet willies. I don't want a
Well,
wetness
yeah,
in
you
my
know you'll deal
ear.
with shit like
I don't
that.
want a tongue. I don't want a tongue. I don't want a finger. Get the fuck out of my ear. Unless you're Q-tipping my ear because both of my arms are broken.
I love it. Yeah.
Seriously, that's the only way you'd be touching my ears is if you were Q-tipping them because both my arms were broken and I couldn't reach my foot up to
Oh
my
my
ear
God.
because I could do it
So
with my
I like your
toes
thing.
if I needed
So I
to.
think if you're like of the seven of you
You like my
listening,
thing?
if like at least 3 of you decided to do a TikTok.
Oh my god.
No, I like this because like I want to
Oh,
like I'm
Jesus.
not going to sit and say what the rules for vetting are. I'm not trying to be a fucking gatekeeper. It's what I don't like about the general idea of trying to exclude heterosexual people from queer spaces altogether. Like I don't want to gatekeep like that, but I do want to feel safe in spaces that are being specifically made to make money off of me or like or my kind. Like if this is our space, quote unquote, like you're a visitor in our space. Like you don't go to somebody's house and shit on their kitchen table, like so don't do that.
Remember MySpace? Top 8. That was really fun.
So yeah, make us a fucking TikTok.
Yeah,
No,
sorry, I
wanna
didn't
hear
mean to
this.
interrupt you,
Like,
but
I like this TikTok.
I
No.
didn't have anything else to say. I just wanted to know if you remembered it.
Okay, bitch, we gotta go before they kick me out of here. Oh, good lord.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on one second.
Okay.
I need 20 seconds to put a period on the
Oh.
age convo. My personal opinion, is if the brain is formed. I
Is
was
that
gonna
your
say
version
something.
of
I
it's
don't know.
grass on the playing field?
Yeah, basically. That's fucked
if the
up.
brain is
But
fully
like
formed and the
25.
gonads fully descended.
Yeah. Can they fucking are their
Yeah.
thoughts clear?
No, I mean, look,
I don't know. It's a and power dynamic. Like it has
it's
to be
tumultuous.
cannot be any kind of
Yeah.
abusive power dynamic nonsense
And
and
if
their
you're
brain needs to
older,
be fully
like
formed.
if you're older, like
I mean for big age gaps, like 21 and
Yeah,
28, I'm
no, but
not
like if
gonna
you're in a
cry about, but
position,
like 21 and
okay, if you're in
65,
a
I don't
position, if that
know.
21-year-old
That
is
sounds
not into it, like
interesting.
let's say all things are like cool. The 21-year-old feels completely like autonomous and like in control and
Chill.
like they like 65-year-old dick. Fuck yeah, go for it. Own that 65-year-old dick. But for the 65-year-old, I want you to remember you're in a different part of your life. If you're gonna go and let like this thing happen because maybe it is exciting to you, you should try to talk to a 21-year-old for more than 5 minutes. No offense, I love you, babies, you little gabies, you're beautiful. But eventually, there does become you're in different spaces in your life. So the wider that gap is, the huger that space. And if you're really chill and love to hear things in both directions about the olden days and about the new days, and like that's your jive as a couple, fuck yeah. Just don't take advantage of that from any angle. Like, and remember, like a 21-year-old is not going to have the same resources as you. So if you're taking them out to dinner, you're probably paying, and don't use that against them, because this is where those power gaps start happening in these little tiny spaces of like.
Are you giving old no, sorry, not old. Are you giving the 65 plus crowd instructions on how
Yeah, how
to
to properly handle
properly
their twink.
date a
Yeah, it's
21-year-old?
twink
I like
handling.
that. That's hilarious.
Twink handling 101.
Oh, Jesus.
They're obnoxious
101.
sometimes, but
Look
sometimes
at
they're
you.
sweet. Like, come on.
Professor. Hey, love. It's time for you to pack up your knapsack and get the fuck out of that room.
Okay, I love you.
Thanks for tuning in. I don't know if we made any proper point today or put a period
Next
on
week.
anything, but if the brain is formed, you can
Oh, I like that. If the
perform.
brain is fully formed, you can perform. So, are you recommending they do
I
brain
have to
scans
work on
before
it.
they
To workshop
go
that.
into the bedroom now? I like
Yes. And no more growth on the brain.
I love you. TikTok us skits
I
of
love you.
telling your straight friends to behave themselves in queer spaces. And in general.
Just in general.
Oh, shit.
You behave. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We love you. Bye.